In the frozen wastelands of the Freljord, there is a man who does not fear death. He hunts it. Olaf, the Berserker of Lokfar, was cursed with a prophecy of a quiet end, an insult among his people. So he raised his axes, and from that moment on, every beast, every warrior, and even the gods themselves became his prey. This is the tale of a man who will not rest until he dies in battle, or carves his legacy into the ice forever. Welcome back, Lord Lovers, this is Landrag, and today we dive deep into the frozen heart of the Freljord, where warriors live for battle and legends are carved in blood and steel. Gather close, for I bring you the tale of Olaf, the Berserker who seeks not life, but a glorious death. Most men speak of death with dread, but not Olaf. To him, the end is not an enemy to be avoided, it is the prize he chases. The Berserker breathes only for the thunder of war cries and the clash of steel upon steel, driven by his thirst for glory and cursed by the shadow of an unworthy, forgettable death. Olaf hurls himself into every battle with reckless abandon. In the frenzy of combat, with blood pounding in his ears and peril closing in, he feels most alive, his spirit ignited only when he stands at death's very edge. Far to the north lies Lokfar, a coastal peninsula carved from ice and cruelty. Here, rage is the only warmth for frozen bones, and blood spills more freely than water. Among its people, no fate is more shameful than to wither with age. Frail, feeble, and forgotten, Olaf was a warrior born of this land, his life already painted with countless victories, his voice eager to recount them. One night, as he reveled with his clansmen by the smoldering ruins of a plundered village, Olaf boasted loud and long of his triumphs. His laughter roared above the crackle of flames until an elder warrior, wearied by the endless boasts, rose to silence him. The old raider challenged Olaf to cast the bones and let fate itself speak of his death. Proud and unshaken, Olaf mocked the elder's bitterness and hurled the knuckle bones of a long-dead beast across the ground. The laughter faded, the air grew heavy, for when the bones settled, the omens told a tale that froze the revelry. Olaf would live long, and his death would come quietly, a fate his people considered the gravest of insults, a coward's end. Enraged by the prophecy's cruel verdict, Olaf stormed into the frozen night, determined to prove fate a liar. His eyes turned toward Lokfar's most dreaded terror, the frozen serpent, a leviathan that had devoured countless sailors and shattered entire fleets. To perish in combat with such a beast would be a death worthy of a song. With no hesitation, Olaf hurled himself into the abyss of its gaping maw, only to sink deeper into the blackness of his mind. When the icy waters jolted him awake, the serpent lay slain, its colossal carcass drifting lifeless beside him. No glorious end awaited him there. Thwarted but unbroken, Olaf set his sights on every fanged and clawed legend across the land. Each time he rushed headlong into battle, craving death's embrace, yet always the frenzy of bloodlust consumed him, carrying him through the slaughter until he stood victorious once more. At last, Olaf realized no beast could grant him the death he sought. His gaze turned instead to mortal, toward the fiercest tribe in all Freljord, the Winter's Claw. He strode into their camp and challenged them outright. Sejuani herself, leader of the tribe, met his audacity with a cold smile. Amusement flickered in her eyes, but her mercy was nowhere to be found. With a command, she loosed her warband upon him. Warriors charged, axes raised, but one by one they fell, cut down as Olaf gave himself to the storm within. Through blood and ruin he carved his way forward until only Sejuani remained between him and the death he craved. Their clash shook the glaciers, ice splitting beneath their fury. Yet even as Olaf seemed unstoppable, Sejuani held her ground, meeting his ferocity with unyielding might. In that moment of deadlock, her gaze pierced his frenzy in a way no blade ever had. For the first time, the haze lifted. She did not strike him down, but instead offered a pact. If Olaf would lend his axes to her war of conquest, she swore she would deliver him the glorious death he so desired. Olaf accepted, vowing to carve his legacy across the Freljord in blood and steel. If you are enjoying this journey, Lord Lovers, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps Lindra grow and lets me bring you even more stories from across Runeterra and beyond. Olaf's path intertwined with many powers, yet always his purpose remained unchanged, the pursuit of a warrior's death. When he first clashed with the Winter's Claw, Olaf carved through their warriors until only Sejuani stood before him. Their battle raged with unrelenting force, and though neither yielded, Sejuani's iron will cut through his frenzy. In that moment, she bound Olaf to her cause, offering him both endless war and the promise of the death he sought. From then on, their goals ran side by side, her conquest of the Freljord and his longing to meet a worthy end in its battles. Olaf's service to the Winter's Claw brought him against ancient powers. Alongside Sejuani's warband, he joined in the attempt to steal Ornn's great cauldron from Volibear and the Ursine. The cauldron's warmth was the only hope of surviving what was whispered to be the harshest winter in memory. Yet such a quest was more than survival, it was defiance of gods themselves, and Olaf's axis never wavered at the thought. His bloodlust also carried him far from the Freljord. In Bilgewater, as he searched for a worthy death, the harrowing struck. From the mist rose the ghost of Krakenworm, the same sea beast he had once slain. Cast aside by its might, Olaf soon found himself traveling with Lucian, Misfortune and their companions toward the temple of Nagakeboros, where Elawi presided. Yet when Olaf glimpsed the undead Krakenworm once more, he could not resist the call of battle. He abandoned his allies to charge headlong at the beast again. Even ruin itself could not deny him. During the time of the Sentinels of Light, Olaf fought against Vex and came closer to death than ever before. Surviving, he joined the ranks of the Sentinels, standing beside Akshan, Lucian, Senna, Vayne, Diana, Graves, Irelia, Pike, Rengar, and Riven. Together they rose against Viego, whose ruination threatened the whole of Runeterra. Olaf guided the Sentinels through the frozen wilds of the Freljord, his axis ever ready for the end he craved. Yet when Viego was finally defeated, Olaf lived still, and so he returned to his old life, the search for a glorious death burning within him as fiercely as ever. And so, Lord Lovers, another saga comes to a close. If this tale of Olaf has stirred your love for lore, make sure to like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to join our Discord, where together we are building a cozy haven for lore lovers to discuss, debate and dream. Until next time, may the stories never end.